Hey guys, so today's video is going to be about a study plan for CAT 2020, right? So I will be basically explaining what I did in my preparation, initial phases of preparation to get 99.25 percentile in CAT 2019, right? So before I start the video, there's a links for the WhatsApp group and the Telegram group in the description. If you want free advice or anything about CAT prep, then join the group and you can ask any question you have. So now let's get back to the video. So study plan, right? So throughout my experience, right, I've written CAT twice. So in that experience of writing CAT twice, I have realized that a strict or rigid study plan saying that from morning 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock you have to do this, and then after that you have to do this, and so on, that usually does not work for students because their body cycle or your daily habits might not fit into those timings, right? So what I feel is more comfortable and what I feel will help the students is if you prepare daily targets, right? So say for example, in a particular day you have to finish this much amount of work, and you should tell yourself that you will not sleep without finishing so much work. So when you chart out your work for each day, then I feel that it's more easy to stick to, and you can do whatever you want throughout the day at your own timings, right? So that's why I will tell you your study plan for each day, right? So now there are two phases to CAT preparation. So the first stage is the initial stage where you are getting familiar with the types of questions, you are studying concepts, and the second phase is you are getting very serious about mock tests and practice, right? And working on strengths, weaknesses, etc. So I'll be telling you what I did for the first phase, right? So let's go to the video. So in order to get 99.25 percentile in this attempt, this is what I did every day for a period of 3 months in the initial phase of CAT preparation, right? So first, what did I do? I read editorials in Hindu and Mint, right? So what I did was every day I had subscribed for the papers. Every day I used to get the Hindu newspaper and the Mint daily. I used to read the editorials in each of them, and I used to read the headlines in both of them, right? So when I say read the headlines, I used to read it carefully, and I used to make sure I made an effort to understand the language and see how much of the headline on one reading I could retain, right? For example, today was a headline on the coronavirus, right? So when you read that passage, you should make sure that in one reading you should be able to retain that information, or I would say retain the important points from the passage in your head, right? So this is very useful when it comes to reading comprehension in the verbal ability and reading comprehension section of CAT, because this will help you eliminate the wrong options and choose the right answer, right? So that is something you should do daily. So first one is read editorial. Second is solve 3 RCs, that is solve 3 reading comprehensions, or practice 10 questions in verbal ability, right? So you can do this every alternate day, right? So one day you can solve reading comprehension 3, and the next day you can solve verbal ability. So why do I ask you to practice verbal ability? So there are 3 types of verbal ability questions that have been coming for the past 3 years. That's para-jumble, para-summary, and odd one out. So para-jumble is very arbitrary, and it's if you have done it before, you will find that it is very difficult as compared to para-summary and odd one out, right? So but for para-summary, which is choosing the correct summary of the given passage, it can only be improved through practice, and even the odd one out can be improved only through practice. So this is something you should practice. So you should practice reading comprehension along with verbal ability, right? So the next thing you should do is take one chapter in LRDI. So usually in books like Time, IMS and Arun Sharma, they separate books for logical reasoning and data interpretation. So again, you can take every alternate day, right? One day you take logical reasoning, the next day you take data interpretation. But usually the trend I've found through 2 years of preparation is that logical reasoning is found by students to be a lot harder than data interpretation. So I would suggest that you pay more attention to logical reasoning. Data interpretation also should not be left out, but just pie charts or graphs, etc., which are represented, and you have to find data from that. So logical reasoning is a little more challenging, so I suggest you focus on logical reasoning. So what should you do? Study the concepts. The concepts are not much. It will just like types of logical reasoning, right? Like arrangements, rankings, etc. But the important thing to do is solve an exercise, right? So you'll have one exercise. For Arun Sharma, I suggest you solve level of difficulty 2. And if you're solving time, you can either solve exercise A or B. You can solve either of those. The next thing you should do is take one chapter in quant, right? Any chapter. So time has 3 books for quant, and Arun Sharma has 1 book. So choose any one chapter. Make sure you understand the concepts fully and solve one exercise from that chapter. Again, for Arun Sharma, I recommend LOD 2, level of difficulty 2, and for time, I recommend exercise B. Okay, so what should you do? Read a editorial Hindu and Mint, solve 3 RCs, or practice 10 questions in VA. Take one chapter in LRDI, study concepts, solve an exercise, and take one chapter in quant, study concepts and one exercise. So when you do this, I'm sure that at least within 2 months you will be complete with the basics of all the chapters, right? So you will be complete with quants, LRDI, the basics, and you will be familiar with the types of questions. And in VARC you would have improved in verbal ability and reading comprehension. So once the initial stage is over, it's all about revision, practice and mocks. So again, let me tell you, when you are studying the concepts in quant, please maintain a formula book or a separate book where you write down the formulas for that specific quant chapter, and you will realize by the end of 2 months you have a book filled with all the formulas, and you can study that or use that to revise your concepts, right? So this was my study plan, right? So this is something which I used, right? So I did this the whole day, and I did not like give myself strict rigid timings like 8 to 9 do this, 9 to 10 do this. I didn't do that. I was gave myself daily targets and I completed it, right? So this is the way I think students should move forward. So good luck, work hard, and don't forget to subscribe to the video and join the WhatsApp and Telegram groups, right? So thanks.